Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're bringing our practice indoors. How do we lower our scores? We want to hole more putts and reduce them into 3 putts. How do we do that? I think two of the kind of common faults or characteristics I see in the putting green on a regular basis is a lot of golfers struggle to hit the centre of the club face. So the reason why your putts are deviating offline is because understanding of where the ball's coming off the centre of the club face. So the idea is we want to hit the ball as close to that spot as possible, just to try and keep the same ball speed and the same roll of putt throughout the duration of the stroke. But what we see is a lot of golfers who struggle with their speed control as they take too long a backswing, and then what they'll do is they'll start to decelerate through impact. The other end of the spectrum is where they might take too short a backswing, then have a gradual acceleration or a late acceleration throughout the shot. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to have the same kind of length of stroke on the way back and on the way through. For a putt you might take a little bit shorter stroke. If it's a longer putt you might take a little bit longer stroke. We try and keep the speed as constant as possible, so try and keep the speed the same. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to hit, like we said, we're trying to hit the centre line on the putter. A lot of people struggle with putting direction and speed control is because when the ball deviates too much from the toe side or the heel side and the ball launches in different directions. That starts from just the aiming of the putter face. Usually what happens is a lot of golfers will set up to the golf ball and the club face will be aiming too much to the right, and what will happen is the ball will miss to the right. So remember, wherever the face aims at address, that's where the ball's going to finish. So the main objective is trying to get that club face as square to your intended target as possible. The other end of the scale, center line in the putter face is aiming too far to the left. The tendency is I'm going to miss the hole to the left. So the main objective here is we want to try and get everything in a better assembly. So the club face needs to aim towards the target. We need to get everything a bit more symmetrical. So elbows need to work a little bit more in conjunction with your rib cage. So what we're going to do from here, before you set up to any putt, we're going to understand the position of our arms. We see a lot of golfers who set up in a position where we see a lot of golfers who set their forearms a little bit too far to the left of target. So that would be too far to the left, where my right arm's too much on top of my left arm. Always feels like my right arm's a little bit too extended, a little bit too straight, and you can't really see too much of my left arm from that position. So my hands, my forearms and shoulders are going to point a little bit too much to the left. So my forearms are going to point too much to the left, and that can create a couple of errors where the path's maybe a little bit too much out to in it. The club works a little bit across the ball too much. With heel strikes, if you struggle with pull putts or push putts, with heel strikes and putts that finish to the left, just check where your shoulder alignment and forearm alignment is. Other end of the scale, where my right arm's a little bit too much behind my left arm and my forearms are aiming out to the right, where my right arm is a little bit stuck behind my rib cage, it's almost in front of my right arm and it's almost detached from my rib cage. In a closed position, the path could be quite strong from in to out. Process to adhere to before you hit any putt. What when you do is you're going to visualize, okay, what type of putt I've got. Have I got a short putt, a long putt, have I got a breaking putt? Get the club face flush to your spine angle. And what we're going to do from there is we're going to try and feel like, okay, we're going to extend both arms in front of us. What we're going to try and do from there is we're going to, the next stage is we're trying to get both elbows to connect to the side of both rib cages. So if you put your arms out in front of you, so I'm checking the position of the club face. This is kind of a game-changing move, get everything a little bit more connected. Straighten your arms out in front of you. You're trying to feel like you pull your elbows in. So almost in this action, arms out nice and straight. You're pulling your elbows in your rib cage. You'll almost feel like your elbows are cemented to your rib cage from there. And what we're going to do from there is we're just going to tilt forward and get in our golf posture from there. I almost feel like I've got super glue in my elbows to my rib cage. And what we're going to do from there, when we work the putter back, we're just going to go back and through, face nice and square, elbows connected to rib cage, tilt forward so my chest's a little bit more over the golf ball, my shoulders are nice and level. Another fault we see on a regular basis is a lot of golfers will get their shoulders too tilted, so the right shoulder gets a little bit too low, left shoulder gets too high, vice versa. Shoulder gets a little bit too low, right shoulder gets a little bit too high. So we want to keep our shoulders nice and level, so think of a spirit level on your shoulders. Your shoulders are as square as possible, so club out in front of you, nice square club face, make sure it matches the angle of your spine. Pull your elbows in so you feel a little bit more symmetrical with your arms and shoulders. What we're going to do from there is tilt forward, so I'm tilting forward, just going to reverse back there. My chest's more in line with the golf ball. What we want to feel like we're doing is, we see a lot of golfers who have too much tilt in their shoulders left and to the right. They carry like a set of weights on your shoulders and you're trying to keep your shoulders as level and as steady as possible. The next step, what we're going to do, when you set up to the putt, you're just trying to feel like you have a slight forward press, so the butt end of this golf club is pretty much pointing in the region of your left eye. Depending on the club wants to point towards kind of your left eye. Slight forward press increases the chances of the ball rolling a bit more efficiently. We see a lot of golfers who hang the handle back. Obviously it's dependent on where the club face is open. Usually we see a lot of golfers at impact with the handles hanging back because the club face gets very open in the backswing. So we want to try and keep the butt of the club pretty much pointing towards the region of your left eye. Elbows out in front of you, club face nice and square. Elbows into your rib cage. That'll feel nice and square. Elbows and shoulders square towards target. Tilt forward. What we're going to do from there is we're going to encourage a slight forward press. Handle can't hang back because that's where the face might point to the left. I'm going to add lots of loft. So slight forward press so the butt end of the club's pretty much pointing towards left eye. So arms out in front of you, elbows in the rib cage, slight forward press. Guys, eradicate your putting woes and try and start holing more putts by using these 3 tips within your practice. Well, when you do before you set up to the putt, make sure the club face is nice and square to your intended start line or your intended target. So what we're going to do from there is we're going to try and get both elbows into your rib cage just to create a bit more connection. Then what we're going to do is we're going to tilt forward from there, keeping our shoulders nice and level. So not too much right shoulder lower, too much left shoulder, too low or too high. Trying to get the shoulders nice and level. Club face nice and square in front of you. Tilt forward. The butt of the club, we want to feel like the grip of the club's pointing a little bit more towards the target side, so the top of the club's almost pointing towards your left eye. Going to create a bit more roll in the putt as opposed to if you get the handle too far back, where we add a lot of lofts. Guys, I'd like to hear what you're struggling with within your putting at the moment. Feel free to comment below with what you'd like to see on my channel in future videos and what you are struggling with within your putting at the moment. The video and subscribe to the channel and all other social media platforms under Jamie Allen Golf. Thanks for listening.